Seattle just elected Katie Wilson, and I get why people, especially young people, voted for her. They're drowning here. 30 years old, decent job, working hard for 60, 70 grand a year. And you're looking at $3,000 rents. Home ownership, that's fantasy land. Something had to change. For better or worse, that led voters to fire Bruce Harrell this month and tie their wagons to Wilson. So what's her solution? She told us last week.
I do think that we will need to pursue new progressive revenue in order to fund our priorities and make sure that we're delivering services to the people of Seattle. And, there's several progressive tax options I proposed as part of my platform.
Translation, lots of new taxes to fund social housing and government services, among other things. But she promises real estate taxes are only targeting the ultra wealthy. Here's the problem. Your neighbor who bought their house in 2009 isn't ultra wealthy, but they are about to get squeezed anyway. Remember them? They paid $350,000 for a place in Greenwood. Today, it's worth $1.2 million. On paper, they're millionaires. In reality, they're a teacher making $90,000 a year. Same job, same income, just happened to buy before the boom. They can't spend their kitchen sink. They can't deposit their front door at QFC. Their wealth is trapped in walls they can't eat. Property taxes have nearly tripled on that theoretical wealth. Now Wilson wants to lift the 1% cap so taxes can keep pace with inflation and growth. But their salary isn't keeping pace with anything. Sure, Wilson's capital gains tax won't hit them if they sell. That's for stock options and business sales. But her property tax increases, those hit every single year. When that teacher finally can't afford the property taxes anymore, who buys her house? Not the young family Wilson wants to help. They still can't afford it. It goes to someone genuinely wealthy who can handle any tax increase. The Wilson administration might try to stop this with restrictions on investor purchases. Well, Vancouver, BC tried that in 2016, and guess what? Prices went up anyway. The foreign buyer tax cooled sales for a few months, but affordability barely budged because supply never changed. Within a year, prices were climbing again. It's a sign you can't regulate affordability into existence. That middle-class homeowner isn't the enemy. They remember when regular people could live here. They want their own kids to afford Seattle. But these policies make them collateral damage in a war against wealth they don't actually have. Some see home equity and think privilege. But there's a difference between Bill Gates and a nurse who bought before prices exploded here. One has actual money. The other has theoretical wealth that only becomes real if they leave Seattle forever. Still, Wilson deserves credit for forcing a conversation Seattle has avoided for years. Housing is broken. Doing nothing is not an option. Her supporters say she's bold and listening to people who feel shut out of the city. Well, here's hoping bold doesn't backfire.